Welcome to the world of Satisfactory. Satisfactory is a crafting game with an undertone of survival, adventure, and discovery. There's a lot that I can say about the comparison of Satisfactory to other crafting games, but I think that I'm going to have to save that for another video. When planning out this video, I quickly realized that the topic of crafting survival games is something that I can't just shoehorn in to a video about Satisfactory. From my experience, I've seen that any crafting survival game has to incorporate three basic elements to some extent, which is, of course, the survival. You have to keep your character alive, and there has to be somewhat of a struggle to do so. The crafting, you have to be able to build with some freedom. And then the adventure, the act of exploring and enjoying the world that the game developers have made for this crafting survival game that you're playing. But because of the fact that building can get very mundane, I think most games rely on adventure and or survival for their main gameplay mechanics, with the crafting playing more of a support role in the game. Satisfactory is unique because it is a game where the support role is the adventure and the survival. The main purpose and the main entertaining thing of this game is the crafting. Now don't get me wrong, you can play this game however you want to, and specifically I would say the adventure and exploration of this game is still very good, and I think it attracts a lot of people to this game. The game is very pretty, and it has incredible and diverse environments for you to explore and have an adventure in. Now that being said, the combat is not always intuitive. It's not the best thing in the game. However, exploring and adventure is not the driving force behind this game whatsoever. And if you only play because you enjoy the survival, adventure, and exploration, then you'll still have a very good time, but you will get tired of the game a lot faster than someone who's playing it for its crafting elements. A game like Minecraft is so successful in its crafting because its crafting is so incredibly diverse. You can do whatever you want with such simple building blocks. And directly opposing that, games that don't have this free building system are less likely to be successful because there's less creativity involved with building with something that is built for you, as opposed to having full creative freedom. So I think that primarily crafting games are much harder to make with those limitations, which is why basically no major survival crafting games are built based on their crafting being the major driving force. But what makes Satisfactory's crafting so special, put simply, is efficiency. But why does efficiency make this game special? Efficiency, of course, is the main driving force behind the game. The biggest accomplishment you can have in this game is to have a perfectly efficient factory. If you've ever played the game before, you understand that that is difficult as you get further into the game. Why is efficiency so difficult? Well, the answer to that lies within the same thing that makes the struggle for efficiency so fun. Human beings enjoy a good puzzle. We love problem solving, and this game is problem solving. Say you load up a new Satisfactory world. The first thing you do is some basic crafting, stuff that's not really unique to this game and honestly is kind of boring. But once you get yourself established, then maybe you build your first factory. You realize you have some iron deposits close by and you build some miners on them, and then you build a smelter attached to that, and you build a crafter and you start making some stuff. After that stage where you build your first factory and you're just dabbling with the core mechanics of the game and how the automation works, then comes the efficiency. The first puzzle you encounter in the game, which in the beginning is simply overcome, is the math. The things that incorporate into this puzzle include power, time, and material. Now, power is probably not your concern in the beginning of the game because you're not going to be powering much, but you will be worrying about time and material. Say you have a normal iron deposit that you put a miner mark 1 on, so you have the ability to produce 1 iron ore per second. What's the most efficient way to make iron bars? You'll quickly realize that just hooking up a smelter to make ingots and then immediately following that with a crafter to make the iron bars is not efficient at all. Because if you look at the smelter, it tells you that it takes 2 seconds to create a single iron ingot, but you're receiving 1 iron ingot per second. Easily you can come to the conclusion then that you need 2 smelters and you need to split the iron ore flow between the two. So now you have your iron ingot creation made efficiently, and you have 1 iron ingot coming out of each smelter every 2 seconds. You only need 1 iron ingot to make an iron bar. Well, that's good, but you need 4 seconds to make an iron bar. So then you realize in order to make it perfectly efficient, you'll have to build 4 crafters for those iron bars. So then you'll split the iron ingot conveyor belts coming out of each of your smelters, and then you have 1 iron ingot going into each crafter every 4 seconds. Voila, you have perfectly efficient iron bar factory. That is probably the simplest factory you can make in this game. This puzzle of math will continue to get more complicated as you increase the material that you have, and the recipes for what you're making get increasingly complicated. But before I delve further into this aspect of the game, I want to delve into the next puzzle that you'll encounter. Shortly after making your iron bar factory, you'll probably begin to make an iron plate factory, maybe a concrete factory, a copper factory. Maybe you'll begin to turn your copper into copper wire, and you'll start to expand your initial factory. Say you've created your factory in this large open space, and you're not really worried about space when you create your iron bar factory. You did it with a loose sense of organization and just plopped it in the middle of nowhere. But quickly, your space will begin to evaporate as you begin to build more and more pieces onto your factory. And with that brings forth the next puzzle of this game, the spatial puzzle. Especially early game, or especially if you decide to build a massive factory on normal terrain, you will be battling this puzzle extensively. This will cause you to have to get very clever with how you weave your conveyor belts in and out between one another, especially if you don't want to clip your conveyor belts together. It can get very complicated very fast. But personally, I love that. Especially if you're just starting out in this game, I would highly suggest that you build on platforms. Large amounts of flat area that will give you plenty of space to experiment and build the factory that you want to build, like what you see in this world I'm playing right now. However, there's still a large amount of this spatial puzzle in this massive platform factory that you're making. And the way that it is most prominent, and one of my favorite things about building a massive factory, is visualizing the factory. You have this space that you've built for yourself, and you're trying to build a factory within that, and then you have to begin to factor it into your puzzle of the material that you have, and how you're going to make that material created efficiently. You then begin working into the equation the amount of space you have, and the number of machines you can create. And then you begin to envision this factory that you want to create. Begin to envision not only the mathematics of what you're trying to make and what you're trying to produce, but you begin to physically imagine what this factory is going to look like. And that is one of the most incredible things about this game to me. Now, with this math puzzle of the game, it gets more complicated, because as you begin to build these massive factories, on platform or not, then you begin to have to worry about power. Say you upgrade to coal power so that you don't have to constantly refuel your biofuel, because that's tedious. Then you add into the equation, well, if I need so much power, then I need to send so much coal to my coal generators, and I need to build so many coal generators. Well, if I build that many coal generators, then I need to make sure that I have enough power to also power itself, to pump water to the coal generators. So maybe you have to build a couple more coal generators, and then that means you need a little bit more coal and a little bit more water. Eventually you'll find a balance for the power, but the power does add in another puzzle, or another part of the puzzle, that is building a factory. You're making iron bars and iron plates, and you want to make screws out of your iron bars, and you want to send some of your iron bars elsewhere so that you can make rotors and reinforced plates. And it gets incredibly complicated, and it also becomes increasingly difficult and seemingly impossible sometimes to make a factory perfectly efficient where you don't have some sort of overflow of screws or iron bars or plates of some kind. And that is just with talking about rotors and reinforced plates. This game's crafting gets incredibly complicated. As the game progresses and things get more complicated, you unlock more technologies to help you make more efficient factories. To be honest, from the perspective of someone watching this video who hasn't played the game before, it might just sound like a headache. And to some people it definitely would be. If you don't enjoy this puzzle aspect of the game, then it will probably quickly become tedious to you. But if you do enjoy the puzzle aspect of the game, and you enjoy the reward of completing and making an efficient factory, then you will always be able to come back to this game, because that key word of this game, its efficiency, is what will make you keep coming back in the end. The survival in the form of farming or food or anything like that is honestly barely there. You harvest food to get your health up, but you don't rely on eating or drinking at all. The exploration is definitely incredible, but is completely driven by your desire to create a factory, because typically if you're going to explore, unless you just like exploring, you're going to do so because you want more materials, and you have to go very far away to find the materials that you need for your super efficient factory. So the crafting part of this game pushes you to have adventure and survive and explore, and it also pushes you to innovate. As you unlock new technologies in the game, you can make more efficient factories, and that's one of the major points of the game, is to unlock new technology. But I don't think that that is a primary focus of the game still, because if you play the game to unlock new technology, that's fine, but you will run out, because eventually there will stop being something new to unlock. and the developers do update the game, and so you'll still probably be brought back to the game every time there's an update, but overall you'll get tired of the game a lot faster than if you enjoy the crafting. Because the efficiency that's so unique to this game is the driving force behind everything else. If you enjoy the efficiency, then you will be forced into exploration, you will be forced into unlocking new technologies, you'll be forced to survive. All the other aspects of the game can be wrapped up in a nice little bow when talking about the factory building, the efficiency. And of course, that only makes sense. It's a game about building factories. But the reason why the efficiency will keep you coming back for more is because you can almost always make something more efficient. These puzzles that I've been talking about have incredibly complex answers, and they have multiple answers, because there's many things that you can build, and if you're wanting to build a new item, mass produce something else, then you have to redesign, recreate, rebuild, or maybe you unlock more technology and you just are rebuilding your factory for the sake of it being more efficient. Or maybe you didn't even unlock new technology, you just realize that you can make it more efficient. I think past a certain point in this game, it's almost impossible to have a perfectly efficient factory where you're not going to have some type of backlog somewhere in your factory, or at least some type of overflow. I don't think that it is impossible, but I think it's almost impossible. And I think that's one of the things that makes the game so incredibly interesting. That puzzle that will never have a perfectly satisfying answer. You will never have a perfectly efficient factory unless you do get that, in which case you would probably be done with the game. Without this game's crafting, this game would be nothing. And without the crafting's efficiency, the crafting would be nothing. In a game like Minecraft, the driving force is a creative one, the ability to build new things. But in a game where everything you can build is pretty much laid out for you, you can't just use basic building blocks to build whatever you want. You can build what the game has laid out for you. You can build a factory. But the efficiency is that creative drive. So I've been talking about a lot of things involving what this game is and what makes it special, and personally, what makes this game good, by my opinion. Whether or not you enjoy the efficiency, of course, is completely your opinion. However, I would like to talk about some of the problems with this game. If you're going to play this game solo, chances are you will have an amazing time through and through, besides some frustrating bugs which do exist in the game. Because honestly, the game is not completely polished. For example, the transportation as far as vehicles does feel very unrefined and unpolished at times. Plenty of people will say that you can't harp on this game for that because it's in early access, but I personally don't believe that. This is a game being produced by Epic Games, a company that is large and has large amounts of funding at their disposal. There's really no excuse for them to have a game that has existed for quite a while now and it still be in early access. If you want more information about that type of stuff and my opinion on that, then you should check out the Ackman's video about the decline of gaming. He talks about in that video how early access is a shield that major game developers use now to release a game unfinished. This early access aspect of the game really rears its ugly head when you get into the multiplayer, which is why I said that if you play this game solo, you'll enjoy it. And I'm not sure because I've honestly only played this game while hosting it, but the multiplayer definitely seems broken from what I have heard of people that I've played with. The people who are not the host tend to have large amounts of issues. The bugs that happen in your game when you're playing solo are cranked up tenfold, and it can be very annoying and make the game almost unplayable at times. And that's ironic because I think one of the most special things about this game also is its social aspect, which I haven't talked about much in this video and I don't plan to because honestly I feel like that topic is separate from the core gameplay mechanics and might require a video of its own. But this game is extraordinarily fun to play with other people, which makes this problem even more damaging. I know this video is pretty long, it's been a mouthful, but there is a lot that I've had to say about this game, and I've been playing it for a few months now on my own, wanting to make content about it, but not really sure what I wanted to do for that content, and now I'm very certain that I want this first video to be a review and overview of this game and what makes this game different from other crafting survival games. I plan to continue making satisfactory content. I want to do a monthly video. It's been a month since my last video, period. It's been a while. I've been taking a break, but I want to get back into making content now, and there's lots of stuff that I want to make, which you'll know if you follow me on social media. I have a lot of content planned for the future, but with Satisfactory specifically, I want to make a video once per month. On the 13th of every month, you can expect a new Satisfactory video. You'll see some of the building projects that I'd like to do, and you'll see me work from month to month on this world that I've made and make some pretty incredible things. I have some really cool ideas for stuff that I want to do in Satisfactory, and I'm excited to see how they turn out, and I'm excited to see how you guys receive them. So I hope that you enjoy my Satisfactory series. If you would like to see more than monthly content of this game, then you should let me know in the comments. If you've stuck through this entire video, then I really appreciate you. Like I said, I know this one's been a bit of a mouthful. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a fun one for me to make. I've wanted to talk about this game for quite a while, and I really think that this game is a unique crafting survival game. Hey, if you're here and you enjoyed it, then why don't you go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button, because I'm going to have more content coming out soon. Pretty soon I'm going to be making a review of craft survival games as a whole, the genre. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one.